Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Shay Show, episode 5. We're going to be hopefully doing this every semester. We're going to be doing a semester review. And apologies for, my voice. This episode was supposed to come out the day it's being recorded, which is the 23rd of December. And I was planning to get 2 episodes out at the same month to make up for me missing, I think it was October. But that never happened, or it's not going to happen because I'm going to probably save the episode that I had recorded in December or November. I'm going to release that January. It is an episode with one of my track assistant coaches. So, yeah, that'll be really exciting to do. I do wonder how monthly episodes are going to go. I don't really have much personally I like to talk about. Maybe I'll just invite other people to talk about like certain topics and things like that. But we'll see. Where we're going to be going over my fall 2025 semester review. Maybe I'll do one where I go over all the previous semesters then combined. Without further ado, let's just kind of get into what this semester, like classes wise, and what I learned mainly, and because of the learning experiences, the things I take away, and things like that. So yeah, we're gonna go in alphabetical order. I took 16 credits. I'll go by. No, we'll go by just alphabetical order. I thought I was thinking about doing credit order, but we'll just do it by alphabetical order and the order that I see here listed on my monitor. So, the first class that is up on the review list is Darkroom Photography. Which when I took this, I thought I was gonna be exploring like using a digital camera with lights and just having like being in a dark setting and how to use a camera in low light setting. And then I found out quickly that that's not what this was. It was actual like if you know what anything about what darkroom photography is, it's actually developing and basically kind of like an appreciation for how photography used to go before there was digital photography. So we had film cameras. I had a Canon AE1 that I was able to borrow from the school, and we had our own dark room, so we got to develop the film, develop the paper, or not develop the paper, but print out the images. So yeah, the paper was developed because of the light that hit it. And overall, it was just kind of a fun experience. Definitely kind of mentally taxing because it was a night class. It was Monday and Wednesday for 3 hours, and it was basically after track practice. So I'd basically just go from practice to the classroom and warm up my dinner, and then go to work and grind. And it takes a lot of freaking patience to develop all the images and doing test strips and doing to get the correct like exposure and lighting and so it was a lot of challenges and a lot of patience that I did not have all the time. And definitely I had less and less throughout the semester because of the how mentally taxing the semester got. So, what we did in that class was the first thing that we did was basically just kind of get used to how the darkroom equipment goes. So we didn't even use a camera; we just used like objects on the paper, and that assignment went awful for me. So I'm not gonna talk about that one too much. Just because I really didn't like it and I really didn't try on it. And I didn't realize because I can remember coming in, I was like, oh, this is a critique. Oh, uh-oh. I was just kind of doing one to do one. So yeah, that was kind of a L for me. But then first, the first 3 roles were one was actually technically the first 2 roles were test roles of just getting used to the camera. And then the next 2 roles were essentially just basic photography stuff. So we had to do one focused on shutter speed and one focused on aperture, which if you don't know what that is, and I can explain it in camera terms. So basically shutter speed, well, first of all, to get it properly exposed, so the lighting correct in a photo, you need 3 things that go into it. Your ISO, which is the last part I'll explain. Your shutter speed, which is how fast the camera basically is like exposes the thing that takes the photo that when light hits it. So it exposes for however long. Usually it's like if you want fast shutter speed for sports photography or motion, you want like 1/800th of a second. But if you want kind of slower, the slowest a human can hold it without it getting blurry from just hand shakiness is probably like 1/60th or 1/30th of a second. Um, and then you have aperture, which is basically how wide the lens is open. If that makes sense. So basically, there's like a glass part of the lens, and aperture essentially, the smaller the aperture, so f2.8, f4, gives a shallow depth of field and lets in the most light. Um, but if you want less light in, you have a higher f-stop slash aperture, but that makes the depth of field not shallow. So you want that for like if you're taking landscapes or like things like that. So, and then ISO is basically just kind of grain. I'd say it's like the overall sensitivity of the light to the camera. So yeah, but basically, yeah, that was all right. So we did one on shutter speed, and then the second roll was on aperture, which, as a sports photographer, this is something I'm all too familiar with. So I kind of just breezed through this. Oh yeah, so the third role I had then was landscape and cityscape. So basically just taking pictures of architecture and landscapes and environments. That one's pretty simple and pretty self-explanatory. I might show some of the images when I edit this that I took. We'll see. I'm not mega proud of a lot of the images just because it was a lot of like when I'm so used to digital photography, so I'm used to taking like 50,000 photos and then just getting like 200 that I can use. This one, it's like we had rolls of 24, and it's like within those rolls, maybe two are good, and you only have time to develop. So, yeah, if you can't tell, my voice is pretty still under the weather. I'm recovering from a cold. That's what I mean by I got sick. So my voice sounds actually awful right now. If I really try hard enough, I sounds pretty normal, but this is the last day I can actually record this episode before I go to away for the holidays, and I won't have like recording equipment, so I'm just getting this to edit out there. So yeah, apologies again for my ratchy voice because it just doesn't sound great, and I'm still kind of under the weather, I guess. But kind of going back to the overall roles that we did two more roles. The first one was something called painting with light, and it basically was you have the camera on for a really really long time in a very like pitch black room, and then you take like a flashlight, point at the camera, and then you can draw stuff with it basically. So here are some examples of good things people did, not me. And then these are the ones I did, so not the greatest, but you can kind of get the general gist of it with painting with light. It was a very cool experience, but one that I definitely would want to redo again, and definitely more unique. I think to at least I wanted to explore like those. Like this is what I kind of like. As soon as we understood darkroom photography, I was like, oh, this is I assume the techniques we're getting into and like unique things that we can do with film. Not that you can't do this with digital photography, but it's just like I feel like this is truly more of like a darkroom kind of photography thing, and alternative techniques, I guess. And then the final one was portraits, with that, got explained to us the classic 3-point lighting and just overall getting portraits. So yeah, that wasn't too difficult, but overall, did well in that class. Didn't hate the class. I thought it was pretty fun. And overall, just a good experience and definitely a good one to take. I wouldn't necessarily rate it. I guess out of 10, I guess I'd rate this kind of like a 5, 6. It's not the highest, not my favorite class I've ever taken, but overall also wasn't bad. It was just time consuming in different ways that art classes aren't, because studio classes take a long, long time. All right. So this gets into our second art class and the last art class that is worth 3 credits at least. If you also don't remember context, my major is double major in Christian Ministries and Leadership and digital media. So these I did about half the classes for digital media, half the classes for Christian Ministries and Leadership. So yeah, next is interactive design. And this one is basically all about UI UX is how I describe it. It's basically interactive design sounds like the title. It's basically designing things that everybody interacts with on a daily basis. So whether that be iPhone stuff, or not iPhone specifically, but mobile device stuff or websites, or in some cases it could be games and other things like that. Basically, that's what we were designing. So the first thing that we did was to create a fake website for a font. And I actually really enjoyed this project. It probably was my favorite one out of the three that we did. Um, so we had three major projects in this class. The first one was a project based off of a font that we chose. And once again, I chose Helvetica. And I'm just going to pull it up on my other monitor so I can kind of describe to you. So I started out with kind of an intro video saying, like, hey, look, this is how much in use it is. It's all over around the world. It's on New York subways, things like that. So you then load into it. And we had a history section where it is in use today. And then we had to create a fake store with fake merch, which that was really fun for me because I just created like the dumbest items. I basically created like Supreme items. So I have like uh Helvetica shorts, and it just says Helvetica on like the bottom leg, and it just says $100. Or I have a T-shirt that is or no, I have a bucket hat that's $1,000. I have a phone case that's 2 cents. What's my water bottle? 99 cents. So yeah, that was really fun to create. So then the next project that we did was a group project. And that project was, we got a task and a problem to solve. Our problem was basically focusing on group, or not group, college students' physical health and physical activity and nutritional health and all those good things. So we decided to make a nutrition app. And yeah, the biggest problem with that project was our colors. We could not decide for the life of us the correct color palette to choose. So that was very interesting. I think we chose like 4 to 5 different colors, like we went through. So that was very difficult. But overall, we got the app done. I think our group technically got the lowest, but that's because of our phase B. And our phase B was just awful. But we also aimed for the moon and had to settle for the clouds. Like we did not at all reach what we envisioned in our ideas. We had like a million different ideas, but with time and obviously the fact that we were using a thing called Figma, there's very limited things we can do. So yeah, that ended up being that. But overall, it was a good, fun project. My group was unfortunately not with any friends, but they were chill people. Shout out to them. Shout out Annika and Farha if you guys somehow managed to stumble across this. I doubt it, but shout out to you guys. And making that project fun and in some ways carrying me because at times I just didn't have time to work on it because of other classes and things like that. But yeah. And then our final project was kind of like a whichever you want to choose. It was kind of a freelance. You get to decide what do you want to do. So I chose to do a gun violence awareness site, and with the purpose of telling the stories of gun violence survivors and spreading awareness about gun violence in America without inducing fear and inducing stress, but instead motivating change. I did this through a website, and it's actually a website that people can check out. It's not really good because it's meant for like a specific window size. It overall was just a really kind of like I don't want. It was a lot of research, and it was honestly at times very sad. The research, even though I kind of knew about the statistics and just how sad this topic is, especially in our country at this state. And the biggest thing as well is to avoid politics with this because political spectrums are what causes, I think, the division, which causes nothing to get done. So that's kind of where I stand on that. I have my own political opinions. I'm not going to state them here just for right now. But it was also, I wanted to get, my original idea was to get people's stories and people from different sides of the political spectrum. But when I sent out the survey, not many people because I wanted to see the difference between the Messiah community, where I go to college, and my hometown community, the Sandy Hook community, which I got very little responses, and very interesting responses, I'll say. I don't want to bash anybody for their responses because it's their opinion. They were just interesting, and what I expected, to be honest. But overall, it was a. I realized kind of like my design style. It's very simplistic. It's very bold. It's very uh, corporate in some ways. So it was a little bit difficult to do something off those lines. But overall, it was a great time. It was a great fun. And that class was just kind of a good, fun studio class. And honestly, ways to distract myself from writing papers all the time and gives me something to kind of work on that uses my creative brain. I was saying this to someone that like digital media is probably the best major for me in terms of what I love to do. I was a huge STEM person in high school. I loved math. I loved just that, like solving equations, just because I was like, there is one answer. How do we get to that answer? Well, we'll figure it out. But I loved engineering. I loved problem solving. But I also loved being creative with graphic designs and editing and creating content. So this is digital media and graphic design. It's just a perfect way to when you get a task and you have a problem to solve, and you have to come up with creative ways to solve that problem. And there is no one answer, which is good at times. And then you can just create that design and use your both parts of your brain, the problem solving brain and the creativity brain, to figure out the solution. The solution. So yeah, overall, I'd say interactive design was a good 7.5, 8 out of 10. Very difficult class because of a very difficult prof in the sense of her grading is very difficult. But overall, did well in that class. Got a good grade, I think, compared to other grades I've gotten from her. So yeah, and it was just an overall good time, good experience. But uh, so the next class I'm going to talk about is probably this and my the last class I'll talk about. My favorite class of I probably up there that I've ever taken. I'd say this is my third favorite class I've ever taken. In term first in terms of subject, third in terms of vibes and just overall. And that's interfaith leadership. But you'll see in about 3 seconds, I'm going to do a jump cut because my voice is getting tired, and I also want to give this class justice because this one and my other favorite class in this worship, it's a theology of worship class. I want to give that justice and just kind of really talk about what I learned in that class. So yeah, I'll see you guys in 3, 2, 1. And yeah, now we're back. After a lot of time and me trying to install Windows on my computer, as you can see, my background's different. That's because I'm reinstalling literally everything right now. But I'm gonna do this since it's almost 1 a.m. and I need to get this recording done before we leave. I leave technically today for California with my family for family vacation to see relatives out there. But I have my notebook here because I want to talk about the next class, like I said, Interfaith Leadership, that meant a lot to me personally. It was, like I said, I think my third favorite class overall, first overall in terms of subject. Um, so it was talking about how us as Christians interact. Specifically, I guess we focused a lot on the Abrahamic religions, so Muslims and or Islam and Judaism. Um, and it took a decent amount of time. Actually, I can launch Rocket League, so I can also free play still. Yay! Yeah, interfaith leadership was all about the way that we as Christians interact with Jewish and uh Islam. So it was very eye opening. It was very um, good in some sense to kind of get a reassurance on something that I was passionate about over the summer, which was how Christians interact with other non believers, which is counting technically interfaith because it's faith of the Christian to the faith of the nun. So, yeah, it was very different and very contradictory to, I think, what a lot of us would say or a lot of I guess not us, I guess it was very different. That's all I'll say. It was very different. It was a lot of fun to just be in that class and to just be with people that were like minded and just having great conversations there. Looking back kind of at my notes, the first notes, yeah, this is honestly a great one and kind of the overarching theme of the class and what we kind of stuck to, honestly. Christ shouldn't just be our message, but it should be our model and our method. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, honestly. But yeah, so something that we talked about a lot was we need to earn the respect to be heard. We, as Christians, as the dominant religion, expect people to listen to us. They expect to, just instantly like agree with everything we say, and that's just not the case. That we have to earn the respect to be heard. So we talked a lot about bearing witness to Christ and what that looks like, and it doesn't have to just be with words. Often we use our words too much, actually, and it should be more by our actions rather than our words. If you think about it, what hurts people more? It's not the words that I mean, it can be the words that they say, but what makes people realize who a Christian really is when they say, "Oh yeah, I love Jesus, I represent Jesus, I go, worship, and He is my Lord and Savior," and then just goes and yells at people and is angry all the time and is not Christ-like. That's what's bearing witness should look like. It should not look like that. It should look like doing what you actually say and meaning what you actually say. Like if you say that you're a Christian, uh, which we even talked about as a term, we don't like using the term, or not we don't like, but that term Christian is like offensive to some people, and it brings up walls to and barriers for them to not want to talk to you because of the hurt and the history of what Christians have just done in the world. And it's the sad truth. You think of the Holocaust and you think of like honestly post 9/11, what people, specifically Christians, have done to those other religions and how that relationship needs to be healed. And it's a lot of the times, other like religions, and when they interact with a, a Christ follower who bears witness to Christ correctly, they are shocked and they are like, man, you are what represents Christianity. The quote from Gandhi that I truly love, and I don't know if I mentioned this on the episode I had for my summer thoughts, but it is I like your Jesus, I do not like your Jesus followers, or something like that, something along those lines, where it's like I like Jesus, but I do not like your Christians, or something like that, something along those lines. Um, but it's true. Like I mean, there was I think he may have said this quote where it's like I'll I will believe and follow Jesus once I see someone else truly follow Jesus, because no one does, because he saw no one truly follow Jesus, because he didn't everyone who said he was a Christian and followed Jesus didn't bear witness correctly, and he was like, this is not what he represented. We have to have this idea of humility. That's a lot of what this class was, is having the humility to realize that, hey, we messed up, we did something, and the we is the history of Christians. Um, and overall, we need, because of the history, we need to understand what that implies today. The history of Christianity. But yeah, but with interfaith, it was a lot of bearing witness, and we actually got to do some interfaith projects. So the project that our class worked on was this thing called the Interfaith Peace Garden at Temple Beth Shalom in Pennsylvania. I don't actually fully remember where it is, but maybe I'll show a picture, or maybe I'll show some news clips, because there was a news. We had a peace pole dedication, and it was just a really good time to be with different religions. But also, I didn't realize how much my upbringing really shaped who I am and why the experiences and the stuff I talk about. Um, I mean, it is really just because, I mean, I grew up with Jewish and Muslim friends that and non-religious friends that I've been able to appreciate. Like, hey, well, look, you know, they don't understand the things that we do. It makes sense for them, and because of that, need to treat them with just as much as love. And like, they're not gonna care head knowledge of why Christianity is better than their religion, or not even better. It's not even a better thing. Um, but it's a like, why should they kind of thing. But it should be a heart posture. Should be a way of living that they should be attracted to. It should be, Jesus who they should be attracted to, not, you know conversion. We talk about often we focus on Matthew 28:18. I don't remember what it is, but go make disciples of all nations. It doesn't say go make converts of all nations. It says go make disciples. But we did say faith has no boundaries. It shows up in places you don't expect it to. Um, and we, as Christians, we rely on privilege. We need earn the right to be heard. We don't have it. We need to earn it. Um, and people go to God through God's way, not our way. We don't deliver people to Christ. Only God does, and that's also something that plays back into the humility part, where we need to get off our high horses and be like, "Oh, let's go! I got this person to believe in Jesus now." And it's like, why? Why did you want that person to believe in Jesus? Just because you like, yes, I converted them. No, it's because you genuinely love them and you want the best for them, and that's just how it is. There's one more topic that I know I definitely want to talk about, but I want to keep reading through these notes. Um, and I already know there's so much that I'm missing and so much that I'm not getting to on this episode, and it doesn't give this class justice because there was just so much rich information to talk about, because of just how good this class was in terms of subject matter and overall just overall content. It was just a great class. I remember saying at the end of the class, like, why is this not a gen ed? Everyone should take this. Everyone should understand and listen to what is being said because it's important. And it's what honestly, like the 2% of Christians don't do. Or not the 2%, that 98%. This is the 2% of things that Christians do. It's the truth. It's what happens. And we need to realize as Christians who what we're doing, why we're doing it, and like the message behind it. Again, Jesus should not only be our message, but our method and our I forget how it was said. I'm gonna go back to it. Jesus should be our model. That's what it is. Model and method. But like I said before, I think this is where I was going before I got distracted. Yeah, we did some interfaith projects. My group, was in a specific group that was working on digital resources. I don't really want to talk about too much what we did, just because it was not that great and important, in my opinion, at least. But we also talked about appreciation for other religions and conversations, not debate. We did also, this was also a really fun experience. We went to a mosque and observed kind of I guess a Islamic service. I don't necessarily fully know, and I apologize if I use the incorrect language, but we also got to talk to a imam who was not much older than us, and we were just talking about random things. We ended up talking about taxes and basketball. It was just a lot of fun just being able to talk to him about whatever. And we did end up talking about Christianity and religion a little bit, but it was just also nice to have a good bond with him as people, because that's what we are at the end of the day. We're people, and we forget that humanistic aspect. And something that we learned biblically is there was religious diversity in the Bible. You can see stories in the Old Testament of people and dealing with other different faiths, and just how they interact with it. And it's not, religious diversity is not a barrier. Uh, it should be something that we embrace and understand. We have the freedom of religion in this country of America, at least, and we should embrace the fact that we can, have conversations with other people and have a respect for their religion. We were talking about how Muslims, the things that we can actually appreciate about their religion is how dedicated they are. They pray 5 times a day. They do all these different lifestyle things because of their faith, and how dedicated they are to prayer. And sometimes Christians can take a lesson from that. We should be dedicated to prayer. I'm included in that. I need to be more dedicated in prayer. I think one of my classmates was joking, I saw how much a Muslim prays and went, nah, no way they're gonna pray more than me. No way I'm gonna let a Muslim pray more than I do as a Christian. Um, so it was just interesting. Um, yeah, as you can see, I have a lot of notes on this thing. Um, yeah, here we go. And the last part I guess I'll touch on right now is called Christendom, um, which is basically what we are now. And when the Europeans came over and when Christians became the dominant religion, it's what now we expect. Christendom describes a faith of power and privilege, and a faith that expects that power and privilege. When it's really affected us to the point where, since we expect that, we seek to regain it when it's lost, and that can be even through violence. And it's really sad, honestly. It's profoundly affected the Christian theology and life, and it's sometimes it's the others, as in Christendom, the other is seen as a threat, not just religious and theologically, but politically, socially, economically, culturally, everything. Christendom witness relies more on worldly, hard strategies of coercion rather than Christ-like soft strategies of attraction. And that's also something that, and the last thing I'll actually talk about, because this is tied with the Christendom, is soft and hard strategies. I don't think I have specific notes on it, but hard strategies are more, conversion, debate, proving the other wrong, those sort of things, Um, when in reality, we should be, shocker, being like Jesus. I know, hard concept to grasp. I know, but it's something that not Christians, we just don't do. It's just impossible, I guess, for us to do, and I don't fully understand why at times, but it is just how we roll. And we were talking about, yes, hard strategies may sometimes work, but ask that person in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, in 4 years, in 5 years, how they're doing in their faith. Are they truly committed to their faith? Or are they just, oh, I'm a Christian now. I'm going to do whatever I want still. It's different. It's two different sides of the coin. Discipling is involved in soft strategies. It's getting to know the person. It's really caring and centered around agape love. It's relational, and it often takes longer, but that's unfortunately the truth. And I think I was mentioning this before, but it's like that's how it is at times. It's just it takes so much more time to do these soft strategies that's why we don't like it, because we want to do the quick hard strategies, because it's like, oh yeah, I want to do as many things as possible. It's easy. We don't have the attention spans, me included. We don't have the patience, me included. So those were kind of my notes, and I guess my yapathon about um interfaith leadership. So we'll go on to the next class, which is organization and leadership. And this one we're going to kind of speed run through, because this one was not as important and I didn't take away as much. Still a great class. Got to do some team leading experiences in it, where I managed a team. Not literally like a fake team. So yeah, this class was all about organization and leadership in Christian ministries. It's what it sounds like. It's what it was. Management. We went through a lot of management principles. It was honestly kind of like a business class. And management, higher ups, and kind of the management side of ministry and what that can look like. And we even had we were in groups where we got to make our own kind of fake ministry. So my group, shout out Caleb and Daniel, if you're listening to this, we created a thing called Rise Church, which was a church in the Vegas Strip. Uh, Obviously fake church, so we had fake money and like all these other things, and we had to create budgets and like different ministries. So we created like a care ministry for like the people who are trafficked there. We created like a specifically religiously diverse community, because there was, I think, catering to a lot of the Hispanic people in Vegas, and also just the homeless population in Vegas. So things like those that were the ones that were kind of what we did. That was our ministry. It was a lot of fun to do. Just overall good experience managing that team specifically. We had some experiences where we led some of the stuff. We read some great books. There was I think I forget what it is, the Ruth Haley Barton book, that will pop up on the screen for YouTube viewers, and then Five Dysfunctions of a Team by Lencioni, which is not a Christian book specifically, but it's still a book that is great in terms of management and things like that. And it involves trusting your team and the first team and things like that. It's a great book. I'll encourage people to read it. So yeah, that's where I'll leave that class at. before we get into our next class, and this is the only the only one credit class that I had this year, which was a seminar, and it was called Video and Church Media Seminar. It's a required seminar for my digital media, and the last class in my digital media major. Just kind of speaking quick, but again, I'm also not going to speak through this one that much because it's a one credit class, and honestly, I really did not like going to it. That's a lie. I didn't not like going to it. It was just like I don't really want to go to this. It was just kind of a like tedious thing. Um, but basically, we talked about the production side of church services and the stage, the lighting, things like that, the theology behind it. So it was a fun class. I got had some fun discussions. That's mainly what I took out of the class. That's the only reason I was excited to go. Sometimes was just to spark questions and to start conversations, which is what I like doing. And honestly, as a Christian mid-major, it's what I like to say to people. It's like, I don't know more Bible than you. I just know how to ask a lot more questions. But with that being out of the way, let's get on to the final class. And my favorite class, overall, I'd say my second favorite class overall has to be theology. Theology 1 with Dr. Putt. Interfaith Leadership, by the way, was with Dr. Pickens, so shout out to him. I kind of want to do a podcast episode with him because, I mean, it was I love that man. I mean, the stuff that he talked about, and he is really a master on interfaith. So maybe I'll do a whole episode on interfaith leadership and just how that is. Worship with none other than Dr. Curry, who shout out him. He's a great guy, hilarious guy, and that's why I think I love the class because just the vibes were immaculate. But also the theology of worship. And learning about that because I have never been super musically inclined. I like music. I played the piano when I was younger. That's about it. I never led worship. I never did anything like that. That's actually something we learned in O&L is that you are called somewhere, but not everyone is called everywhere. Or you are called somewhere, but we are not called everywhere. Something along those lines. We have our own specific roles. We have our own specific talents, and we have our own specific gifts. So worship was just not one of mine, but learning about theology of worship and learning what makes up worship and just kind of I don't know if I'll talk about this one too in depth because there was just so much rich information that he presented to us and how to design a worship service that got talked about at the very, very, very end. But we talked about 4 specific elements of the service, the fourfold order. Gathering the congregations into a time of worship together, because especially Romans 12:2 or Romans 12:1 and 2, we are worship is not limited to a Sunday service. It is a lifestyle. Worship is a lifestyle, and worship doesn't end when we leave those doors. And we got to go to some church experiences. I went to a Roman Catholic Mass and a Pentecostal church as part of my assignments, and it was just very different and very great to experience just the different styles and different services. And I left both those services with the same question of what happens to everybody when they leave the doors. Why, as Christians, do we not represent Christ once we leave those doors? People can have their hands up. People can, come here and, be super sacramental and sacrificial and things like super holy and things like that. But once we leave those doors, it seems like everything goes out the window and we just don't care. And it just baffles me. So yeah, that's kind of the worship part. But yeah, so we had gathering, and then we had the word, which is the spoken word of Christ. Don't need to get much in there. That's usually the sermon part. We have table, which is the Eucharist, the communion, the Lord's Supper, whatever you want to call it. They all have different meanings, and they all mean specifically different things. I won't get into that because I'm too lazy to, honestly. But that's a huge important because worship is supposed to tell the story of Christ and what he's done for us. Oh, this is a huge part that I completely forgot. The pattern of worship is revelation into response. When you look at worship in the Bible, there is nothing that a human does first to worship. It is through a revelation from God, through God revealing himself, that we then respond because of the revelation or God revealing himself to us. We see that, we see how holy he is, and because of that, our only thing can be to respond in worship to him. Which leaves us with the final aspect of worship, and the thing that I kind of talked about earlier with my questions is sending, which is kind of the, what's it called? Oh gosh, this is bad, I don't remember this. Benediction, that's what it was. The benediction, and just kind of like leaving somebody with a, with leaving the congregation with a emphasis to, this doesn't leave. The worship is a lifestyle. Continue, challenge. This is how you can apply it outside of this certain time. Yeah. Overall, just a great class. Honestly, super fun class in terms of just vibes. We had 6 guys in the class, not including Dr. Curry. And Dr. Curry was also a guy. So we just had a lot of fun, a lot of time vibing. Ain't no high like the most high. You'll wonder what the heck that means. Don't worry. We want the synthetic. Or no, we don't want the synthetic. We want the authentic, not the synthetic. Insert shake it off here. Because that's actually ironically what he opened up with. Is that some services will start out with their senior pastor coming out to shake it off. Because, we got to make it relatable. But with all that out of the way, I think my voice is tired. This is kind of a crapshoot episode. I'll edit this on the plane and be like, oh gosh, why did I say all these things? That's probably what I'm doing right now. Hi, future me. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're in California soon. I hope you're also having In-N-Out soon. Sorry, California, thanks. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Maybe I'll do a more detailed episode on these things. So, yeah. Overall, I thank you so much for watching and enjoying this episode of The Shay Show. Next episode will be, again, with one of my track assistant coaches. He's a throwers coach at Messiah, Coach Logan. He also is a senior graphic designer, I think, at Messiah University. So look out for that episode. That'll probably come out January. This episode should be coming out December 30th, now that I think of it. So right before the new year. So happy new year to everybody in case this comes out during the new year. So yeah, appreciate you all for watching. Thank you so much. I gotta go to bed. I'm tired. My voice is tired. It's recovering still from the sickness that it is. But yeah, thank you so much. Peace out.